You're either here because you want to know about this crosscut sled, or the reason I'll probably never cast my shadow in another Rockler store as long as I live. Let me tell you the story first about this sled. Now, I saw this sled and it was featured by a big influencer on the internet. He says in the very beginning of his video that he had to purchase this item to experiment with it. Well, you know, I'm thinking that's pretty, you know, maybe he knows. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. And I went through, he actually did some cuts and put some squares up to the work he did, and guess what? It worked. So I purchased one of them. I went into Amazon, bought it directly from Rockler. They shipped it to me. Now, the reason I share that and where I bought it, because clearly it's a Rockler, is because I bought it from them. They have a full customer profile on me. They know all about me. They know about the Festools that I bought. They sold them to me. They know about the wood that I've purchased. They know that I've been to multiple different stores, Phoenix, San Diego, Anaheim. I've been to as many as I can. I like to go into as many stores as I possibly can because you never know what wood you're going to find. And I almost always buy something when I come out. I feel like, you know, it's a duty to, you know, show some loyal to these stores. If you don't sponsor them, they're going to go away. It'll all turn into Home Depot and big box stores. So I assemble it, I put it together, and I put it on my saw, and I give it a good push, and guess what? I end up with a big scratch that parallels the holes that the sacrificial board is set into. I'm like, what? I mean, this is a pretty good scratch. I spent $1,600 on this saw, and the reason that I did is everybody has seen the saw stop technology. You touch the blade and you'll stop the blade, it won't cut your finger off. The cost of the saw is less than one trip to the emergency room, even if you just hit your fingernail. I figured this was the way to go. Well, when I got the cut, without making a demand, I wrote to Rockler. They wrote back and apologized and said, yeah, you know, the screws, you know, we take responsibility. The screw was set too deep into the sacrificial board. They had contacted the manufacturer, and I guess that means whoever assembled it, probably in China, and that they were going to have that looked at, and they offered to send me some new screws and $100. Well, I said, you know, really, let me check on the cost of the table. And I went and got a hold of Saw Stop, and they didn't respond right away. There's been about almost a 12-week period of time to try and get this resolved. So, and part of that's not Rockler's fault. I mean, I did what I could. The 4th of July holiday fell in there too. They were going to get back to me, but after the holiday. But let's get back on point. I found out from Saw Stop that you cannot replace this top. I told Rockler in communication, you know, $100, I can't even get it repaired. How much does it cost to come over to your house and scratch your saw? If I give you $100, would you be happy? Next thing you know, I'm off to another manager. That's okay. So they wrote back and offered to give me $250, but that money's never arrived. They've stood behind, I need your address. I bought this from them. They have my customer profile. They know all about me. Everything that I did in communication with them, I never made a single demand. I only responded to the things that were their offer. They wanted to call me on the phone. I was welcome to that. But as time is passing, I did a little bit more research. I went back to the original video and I found out that the guy that I believed had to buy it himself, I really think this isn't an accusation, but, you know, it could be, you know, determined. One of the things that I wanted to maybe point out to Rocklers, it looked like he was an affiliate at the time that he had to buy the item. He doesn't say I'm an affiliate a lot, Rockler. He says he had to buy the item. Now, in most YouTubes, there's always a disclosure, I may make some money off of this. And, you know, I started to look at the items down at the bottom in the affiliate links, and it didn't say affiliate. Well, I put it into ChatGPT, and it says, oh, guess what? This is an affiliate through a company called Impact. It would be very curious, and I'd like to know from Rockler, when did he actually become an affiliate? Because, I think in totality, the fairness of the advertisement, maybe needs to be looked at. But, that's just my opinion. These are, rules and regulations are, subject to the interpretation of whoever makes the rule and regulation. But do I think that was fair? Tell me down in the comments if you think that it's fair that somebody says that they had to buy the item when they were or later became affiliate and still show the video. I'd like to know. It's just a question. It's not an allegation. So it comes up to the final end. They decide that they're not going to talk to me again. I write a letter that's, pretty aggressive. I asked them to send it to their CEO, Mr. Barnes. And I haven't heard back. Clearly, I guess they don't want my money. In some of my communications, I told them I was going to spend several $1,000s more. I ended up buying a new flip stand by Jet to put 2 of my items on. I purchased in the same period of time another Festool router, and I have another one planned on the way. I was going to buy a drum sander. They had one on the lot, and they also sell Jet Tools, which is the one that I was looking at. When I say lot, I really mean in the store in San Diego. I went in and looked at their Supermax. It was already used, and I'm like, I'd rather start with a new, fresh machine. But guess what? There's now a Supermax in my garage. There is the Jet flip top. There is a new Festool router, and there's going to be another Festool router on the way. Rockler, professional sales organization, or somebody that just follows clicks? Because I gave them a clear buy sign. I've been in sales for 40 years. Somebody says that they're going to buy more stuff. I'm like all ears. I'm going to earn or produce for my company additional revenues, potentially even when a mistake exists. I went into the Rockler in San Diego and even purchased something and sent them a picture of what I've sent and said, hey, are you going to get back in touch with me? I sent 2 follow-ups over about a 3-week period of time that says, hey, are you back to work? You promised to talk to me. No one followed up. No one gave it. Now, if I'm going to have this kind of problem with a crosscut sled, do you think I'd really consider, and they got a new router that actually looks pretty good. And honestly, this thing doesn't work too bad after it scratched my table. I get absolutely square cuts. It's made out of phenolic. The miter system works good. Probably cheaper to buy this or something like it. And there are other manufacturers for these. I researched. What does a hobbyist do but get on YouTube? There's another company that makes something almost exactly like this, but I picked Rocklers. I'm in Rockler stores all the time. Why not? I'd always been, pretty well treated in Rockler stores. Although one time they gave me a sander and it had already been used and it was supposed to be brand new. It's probably a demo model, but it was during COVID and I needed it. So I just shut up. But hey, if I were to never go into their stores again and spend any money, would you blame me? Put it down in the comments. I really want to know. Final. This is probably going to show up in an ad also. And the reason for it is I run a group called Laser Freedom, and there is a link into laserfreedom.us. I'll put some links for you to follow, and maybe if there's any comment, I'd be happy to post anything that Rockler has to say about this video in the comments and not pull it down. I'm more about fairness than anything else. If they have a defense for taking 12 weeks to try and resolve this, say they're going to send me $250, have my customer information, and then not send me the money or follow up with me. If that is what the CEO wants, well, guess what? I'm not going to trip the curb again. I'm not going into their store and I'm not casting a shadow and they're not getting any of my money. And I'm also going to be very, very cautious in recommending anybody do this.